Sorry, I could talk about this forever also.
Rabbi,
Mhm.
did Isaac Babel write in Yiddish?
It's a good question. I'm not sure.
Because I was thinking of the Benya Crick stories about
Yep.
the Jewish Messiah, and
He certainly, I don't know if he wrote in Yiddish. We could look that up. Somebody could Google. That's a great question.
Rabbi, talking about going on and on about this forever,
Yeah.
might there be an idea of a class in Yiddish literature for winter semester? I know that.
Yeah, Yiddish literature is one of my, I used to teach Yiddish literature all the time, but, and when I worked at the National Yiddish Book Center, I used to teach Yiddish language and Yiddish literature and translation.
Or maybe even if you would give us a list of, what you feel were the top.
I would
10
love to,
things
because
to read in
people,
translation.
yeah, part of the issue is people don't know how to read it also. Like the stuff that I just said is a really important framework to understanding reading Yiddish literature. I would love to teach Yiddish
All right,
literature.
anyone who would like to study Yiddish literature with the rabbi, please raise her hand.
Yeah.
I would.
I'm seeing
Seeing some mind. Okay, there might be a.
hands here. And
I
speaking,
would like to also, I'm on
It's
phone.
even amazing to read the original Sholem Aleichem stories of Der Milchiger.
right,
But if you really think about it, and Harold is absolutely right, that the musical
Oh, no.
still maintains that each child represents the choices facing the Jewish people in Eastern Europe. And that's when you see it, just in the original, he added a few kids. There were more daughters.
and speaking of secular literature in a Jewish language, Rabbi Reuven Greenwald's
Yes.
class starts tonight. Would you like to talk about that for a second, Rabbi?
So we have a beloved CBST member who is a conservative rabbi whose passion in life is Hebrew poetry. And he knows an enormous amount about Hebrew poetry. And he's starting to teach a session, which is unique because he's going to be teaching Hebrew poetry of Palestinians who are writing in Hebrew, LGBT, feminism. Israeli poetry is one of the great gifts to the world. It is really interesting how Israel, this tiny little, only 5 million people in the world speak Hebrew, and it's produced some of the greatest poetry in the world. It's very, very, very interesting. And so he's going to be teaching, I think, a 3 or a 4 session class. Is it?
Oh, yeah. So Rabbi, it is at playing time, and it is your choice, a beautiful bit of Bach or a contemporary setting of Psalm 12 in English by a Christian writer. Which would you like?
Are these both recordings or is one
These
live?
are both, no, I'm going to do it right here.
Right. Well, I thought maybe Adria was going to do the Bach.
No, we do not have Adria or.
Okay, got it. Let's do the contemporary Psalm 12.
Okay, let me pull that up then. Hold on. This is from the other Psalms project. We've played some things from them before. All right, hold on. Skip ad and okay, hold on. Here we go. Let me make sure I have exactly.
Help, Lord, for the godly cease to be, for the faithful disappear from among the sons of men. Everybody speaks idle words with smooth talking, flattering lips, and a double heart. May the Lord cut off.
Will you mute yourselves? Not you, Harold.
Harold, it's muted. Harold.
Hold on. Yes, what?
We haven't been hearing it. It's been
Oh,
muted.
I'm so
Someone
sorry.
was-
I'm so sorry. Let
Someone
me,
was coughing and talking.
okay, let's try
If
this
everyone
again.
else could
then.
mute, that would be
Let me share
terrific.
computer sound. Let me optimize the share for the video. Let me go back to where we are. All right, I'm so sorry. All right, let's try it again.
Help, Lord, for the godly cease to be, for the faithful disappear from among the sons of men. Everybody speaks idle words with smooth talking, flattering lips and a double heart. May the Lord cut off all truth perverting, flattering lips and the tongue that speaks with pride. The tongue that speaks with pride. For this is what they say. With the words we speak we'll conquer. With our tongue and our lips, the weapons of our choice. There's no God over us, it's a war of words. And our enemies think they will win. For the oppression of the poor now will arise, says the Lord. For the groaning of the needy now I will arise, says the Lord. I will give my salvation to whosoever yearns for it in his heart. The words of the Lord are pure words, not the lying, wicked words of a man. The words of the Lord are pure words, purified, pure as silver that's purified 7 times. You will keep them, you'll preserve them for all time, now and forever. The words of the Lord are pure words, purified, pure as silver that's purified 7 times. You will keep them, you'll preserve them for all time, now and forever. The words of the Lord are pure words, purified, pure as silver that's purified 7 times. You will keep them, you'll preserve them for all time, now and forever. Words of the Lord are pure words, purified, pure as silver that's purified 7 times. You will keep them, you'll preserve them for all time, now and forever. The words of the Lord are pure words, purified, pure as silver that's purified 7 times. You will keep them, you'll preserve them for all time, now and forever.
Fabulous.
Wicked prowl on
not
every
done.
side when evil is exalted among the sons of men.
All right. So
That's a
interesting.
that's a fabulous example of Christian rock, which is really kind of exploded since the 60s. That's probably more like the 80s or 90s, maybe even the setting, but Christian rock has become a massive universe. And I love listening to it and to hear how they, as I say over and over again, whenever a musician composes music, how they emphasize a sentence is a form of interpretation where the music rises and falls, and how they use music. Like in any song, they're making religious meaning by creating musical settings. So that was a great example. And
But
so interesting. Did you see that the way the music stopped at the end, it felt like the end, but exactly how we came back with that verse 9. So it was a really, even musically, it felt like it ended, but it didn't, which goes to some things that people said yesterday.
Yeah,
Thanks, Harold.
And it was also nice, you even without putting the lyrics up, you could understand every word. It's obviously a way of transferring the meaning. It's not one verse that, was used as inspiration. Rabbi, can I show the other video for just a second?
So
Okay.
let's just give a little intro to this, Harold, just
so-
because this is very interesting.
So there are there's so many references to the natural sciences, to animals, etc. in Psalms and liturgy. There is many references to silver and silver refining. This one is the silver refined 7 times. There is something in our high holiday liturgy, you are the refiner and we are the silver, I believe. In Handel's Messiah, there's the refiner's fire. And so I tried to figure out exactly what these were about. And silver, when mined, doesn't often come in full ingots like gold would. So the metals, there was silver, there was gold, there was copper, were the 3 most important metals in biblical times, and also in iron. And so what you had to do was to melt down the silver in the dross, there are generally other metals in it. And in the process of doing that, you would refine it so that it became pure. So I found a little demonstration here. It's contemporary, but it would have been done, it wouldn't have been an electric kiln, it would have been fire with a bellows, but it would have been done almost exactly the same time in ancient times. So let me pull this up. So it starts with, it has to be a non-reactive earthenware stone. You can't do it in metal because it will react to the metal. The artisan here has put in a variety of things that have silver and other metals, and he's putting it in an oven where it will be heated to about 1700 degrees. So let's watch just
probably to start with. I'll place about 20 grams of lead on top, and we'll get it heated up, and we'll check back on it in a little bit.
So that's the dross, that's the non-silver that's risen out of the silver that he's taking away.
All right, let's check on our
watch what happens in the
metal in the Capel furnace here.
When he opens out his little furnace. Here's the pad. He opens it and he takes it out, and it is
there. It's going. Might be hard.
The refined silver. Watch it cools here, and you have.
All right, here's our little silver button. This is from the metallic fractions that we did right in the Capel, and I did.
So when you talk about the refining and the dross, that is the dross that comes out. And so he did it once, but I think there's a metaphor here. If you continued 7 times, each time it became purer, so that you got rid of everything other than just this 100% pure silver.
Harold, that's fantastic. Again, I've read this psalm a million times and it only has vague meaning to me. So that is fantastic. Isn't it great to actually, and whoever wrote this psalm understood that in a way that some of us just did not. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. And Harold's absolutely right. Throughout biblical literature is references to pure silver and understanding what that would be like. So, wow, thank you.
Where should we go now, Rabbi?
Let's go back to Levy and see if and then we're going to do a little bit on Levy, and then we're going to go to Fisher. And are there any comments on Levy before I point out a few other things about Levy, and then we'll go to Fisher, but I didn't, there was no time yesterday for those who wanted to respond to.
Okay, Benjamin Shaffrin has his hand up. I see. Ben?
Morning.
Good morning.
I like this rendition particularly. The last verse, 9, the way he translates it, kind of smooths out the dissonance in the original Hebrew, in the sense that he brings it back to the people who speak evil before. And the middle section is that God will protect those who are good, and it kind of wraps around the whole thing. In the English translation that he has, the dissonance seems to disappear.
I agree with you, Ben. And I think that I agree. And that's one of the reasons I like what he's done with this Psalm is what he does with verse 9 is to say, okay, everybody has to worry about our speech, so to speak, right? We want to, those who care about holiness want to think about our speech as contributing to holiness. But even if you do that, remember, there are those who are going to be prowling up and down. And the definition of their evil in this Psalm is the kind of language they use. It's going to be there. It's still going to be there. You're going to constantly have to protect yourself from it and think about it. It's always there. Thank you, Ben.
Susan, you have your hand up. Susan and Doug. Or Doug has his hand up.
I just want to mention that when you read it the first time, made pure, 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 it immediately brought to mind in King Lear saying never, 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 never 5 times, which of course fits the iambic pentameter,
Yeah.
but it's just very moving.
It is very moving. That's
Poetic.
a beautiful connection. Thank you. Beautiful.
Shep?
Yeah, I was just gonna. It's really not important.
Okay, then Sherry seems to be the one leaning forward among Sherry and Simon. I try to guess who it is.
It's me, you're right. We're very predictable. So I was really struck with the Levy, the idea that the word for lip is safa, which also means the shore of a body of water. And he uses the idea of the wash up, smooth words wash up on their lips, and Adonai will dam up their smooth.
Aha, interesting.
Just fascinated me that he was using that. It doesn't sound right when you think of damming up the lips, but
Yeah.
you know, I'm thinking of saliva, which is wet and the frothing of the lips, you know, that happens in when people have rabies or whatever. Anyway, that intrigued me.
Well, I also think that it is that double meaning then, the safat as a beach or the edge of the water.
Right.
So smooth words wash up on their lips as water would on the beach.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm going to use that in a poem, the lip of the water, of the wake. I love that. It will appear.
Barbara Grindel.
Thank you. I'm looking at verse 6, and when Adonai says, I shall rescue the ones whom they blow away, I can't help thinking about the stone that was left that became our cornerstone.
It certainly feels like that. This is very much.
It just came to me.
The Holy One in the universe is the one who stands with the poor, the groaning of the needy. And that is so clear in this Psalm. And this verse, we'll refer back to it, by the way, as we go through the Psalms. Ata akum yomar Hashem, I will now rise, because we'll see over and over again the reference that we saw in a previous Psalm. Kuma, Adonai. Our beseeching God is, please rise, show yourself. We need more holiness in the world. Expand yourself, expand the holiness, and to have this, it's very powerful.
Michael Goldstein.
Thank you. I just want to go back to the discussion yesterday on verse 9, and everyone was saying that it wasn't complete or that it led to a question and so forth and so on. I didn't see it that way at all. I saw it as a summation of the psalm and just a reminder that this is the conclusion, that all around the wicked prowl up and down, so long as worthlessness is exalted among the human race, they have dug deep pits for the sons of men. It's just underlining all that was covered in the psalm, and I don't see a problem with how it's hanging there and it's incomplete. I don't get that, and for me it's a complete summation of what we just read.
Thank you, Michael. And for me too, I ultimately feel like it's I'm not sure I'd use the word summation, although I completely understand what you're saying. I feel like it's, a little bit like what's happened to us this week or in life in general. We want everything to be tied up in a nice bow. Oh Lord, we want a nice bow. But we have to remember, no matter what happens, the forces of evil exist in the world. We have to keep, it doesn't wrap up with a Hollywood ending. Even if we achieve holiness and even if we individually spread the good in the world and are closer to God and feel that as long as worthlessness is exalted, as long as the human race, as long as humanity still cares about these worthless things, there will be evil. We'll have to it'll keep eating away at us, and we have to keep strengthening ourselves. So I'm with Michael on this one.
Okay, so I see Yael had her hand up first, and then Linda Solomon had her hand up. So Yael.
What Sherry was saying made me think of COVID, because things come out of our mouths that sometimes shouldn't. And so, it could be words, it could be, virus, and people need to know when to cover their mouths and not spew stuff into the world.
Wow, how fantastic a reading is that from our moment in time. Fantastic.
Wow.
I never thought about that.
Linda Solomon.
Yes, going back to verse 9, yesterday I was very confounded by it, and I think Levy did what I needed it to do. He put in the two words that I needed: so long as worthlessness is exalted among the human race. So he gave it or a but would have done just the same. It was missing that connection between the two parts of the verse that made it complete for me, in a sense, because otherwise it just was hanging. It needed the aval, actually.
Good, thank you.
Wow. Dean.
What impressed me, I also loved the idea of the washing up on the smooth lips or whatever. And I see the whole source of evil here being kind of swirling out and being spoken into the world. And then in it's in verse 9 where you really see Adonai is going to come up through the poor, and he's going to offer protection. You see in verse 8, you see protection. And then in 9, so you have the sense, for me, it's an introduction or a strong feeling of the interior world of knowing God intimately, and that becomes a protection even when the outer world is, chaotic and whatever.
Beautiful, fantastic.
Barbara Grindel.
Levy and his comments and his quote, I just want to read something for the spiritual applications part of his commentary. Says, death and life, we read in Proverbs 18, are in the power of the tongue. And I think that's important. That's a fantastic line that is reflected in this whole psalm. Notice how you could say, hold on, we go from all the speech, tongue, lips, blah, 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 go to the needy and the poor. This is very powerful that language is so deeply connected to other levels of violence that exist in society. And I like very much what he says. The psalm can be seen as a challenge to us who speak. Which words shall we use? And what is the nature of our lips and our tongue? Shall we speak the kind of words God used to create the life of the world, or shall we pervert the words that God created to commit our own kind of brutality? Language itself can be harsh. The people who use crude language prowl up and down all around us, and it can be hard to keep our own tongues purified of violent or sexually crude speech. But the model suggested here is God's own. We must refine, like the silver, our speech, thinking about the words we use, thinking of words as nuggets of shining silver refined through careful thought and sensitivity to emerge from the seashore of our lips with the purity of water drawn from a cool, fresh stream. So I think that reflects back many things that are being said here. I'd like to go to Fisher if we have, are there other comments, Harold, or can we go to?
Barbara Grindell had something.
Okay.
Barbara?
I really didn't have a comment on this.
Okay.
It's for next week about the English reading, and I'll put it in the chat.
Okay,
perfect.
great.
Okay, thank you.
Should we go? Here we have
Yes.
Fisher. Let me see if I can make this a little bigger.
And do we have somebody who can read this who has not read recently?
Joan Friedman has her hand up anyway. Joan, can you
Right.
unmute yourself and read this in English? I hear your English is
Okay.
pretty fluent.
Yep. May I make a comment about the silver
Mm-hmm.
first? I spent a year working with silver.
Oh, wow.
And which doesn't make me an expert, but I learned a little bit. And if you had silver that was completely pure, no alloy, it would be very difficult to work with. So like steel, silver does get alloyed to some extent on purpose for working with it.
Huh.
So that, you don't want it crude.
Yeah.
But it needs to be a little bit mixed.
That's a great model also, huh? Great image.
Right, so
Okay,
you can
so
see
this is Norman Fisher's rendering of Psalm
Okay,
12.
let me get my book because that's easier.
I can make it bigger for you, Joan.
Okay.
Here.
Okay.
Got it?
Got it. Yeah. I call out to you, for the real is gutted, the truth has fallen away from the human family, and self-deceit and small advantage corrupt speech. Between neighbor and neighbor, subtle lies weave entangling threads. They speak with a heart and a heart beside that heart. Even their own hearts they unknowingly deny. Cut off all nattering lips, the self-doubtful tongue that speaks a twisted language, saying, with our words we'll be mighty, we'll speak as we wish. Our words are ours to fashion. And you reply, because of the oppression of the poor, because of the size of the needy, I will rise up. I will grant them safety, for whom the others have laid a snare by the self-deceit of their words. Your words are straight, clear, shining as silver refined in earth's crucible, 7 times purified. You will deliver them, guard them from the generation of the lie, always. For when the lie is raised up, the wicked walk proudly on every side, as if the world were made for them.
So Norman Fisher, just a couple of comments. You'll notice right off, as we've pointed out, is less concerned about the architecture of the original psalm, is writing something personal and leaves behind the numbering, the exact verses, but tries very hard to do what I ask of all of us to try and do is, if you were to take each verse and make it make sense for you, what would it look like? And of course, Norman Fisher in general doesn't use classical or traditional language for God. And the question of who is Norman Fisher speaking to? But So let's just have some comments on this and see, now that you know the original psalm pretty well, and we've now looked at Levi, which is pretty close, but has some very interesting twists. Any thoughts or reactions to Fisher? Things that pop out at you, things that you like, things that make the meaning more clear to you, or things you don't like?
I'm waiting for a hand. Nope, nothing. We can go on.
So let's okay, because I can
Jerry,
point out things,
Eric
but okay.
Simon. Okay.
Mhm.
I'm struck by his use of the words neighbors, because in the other one we just had in the Safari we have men, or we have people, we have the evil. Here they're neighbors, and it becomes much more personal. And thinking about the current political situation, I'm looking across the street at the people with the Trump signs, you know, and how I deal with those neighbors. But it really brought home to me, you know, in a much more personal way.
Yes, and it's ish et re'ehu, is sometimes translated as neighbor or even friend. And you'll notice also the use of the words, the line, they speak with a heart and a heart beside that heart, even their own hearts they unknowingly deny, is playing with the original Hebrew, which Levi translates quite differently, and the Sepharia translate differently because they go for it as an idiom. But in the Hebrew, the word belev valev exists, but so I think I like that with Fisher, that what does it mean? They speak with a heart and a heart beside that heart, even there are hearts they unknowingly deny. It's okay. There are a lot of people who want to speak. So
yes, Sue Rosansky, I think, was next.
Yeah, sorry. Yes, actually, that was the line I found confusing, or I don't know what it means. Maybe you just explained it, Rabbi, but I don't know. They speak with a heart and a heart beside that heart. I mean, I don't remember what the original Hebrew but you know, but I don't know what that means.
the original Hebrew is sfat chalakot belev valev yidabru. So sfat alachot, sfat chalakot are the smooth lips. Belev valev yidabru. It's hard to understand exactly what it means, but not Bernstein. Levi translated it, just to remind you. They speak first with one heart and then another. So their understanding is that it's a two-sided, you know, it speaks out of their mouth. What do we say? Speak out both sides of their mouth.
Both sides of their mouth.
Okay,
that's
the
idea.
Okay. Yeah, okay, thanks.
Saul?
So I'm really taken with his ending, because the truth is, especially for dictators, when you make the lie real by just repeating it over and over and over again, and other people who should know better start to believe the lie, and it's the wicked win.
Yeah.
It's as if the world is made for them. And I love also nattering lips, because that's people who mutter and natter, and you never know really what they're saying, what they really, really mean. They just mumble and it spews out.
Regina Linder said yesterday in another meeting, and I totally agree with her, it's like this psalm is ripped from the headlines. You know, this psalm written 2,500 years ago could be ripped from our contemporary headlines.
Judy Frank and Ben, and then we're going to move on to Bernstein to wrap up. Judy Frank?
Yeah, I was just going to agree. I was thinking every time I see that word nattering, I think of that Nixon era guy, nattering nabob.
Negativism. Spiro Agnew, yes.
Yeah.
And
also, it's just so perfect.
Don't you yearn for Spiro Agnew? Like, for him to be the enemy? It's like, oh my God. Remember those days when he was the worst we had?
Right, but this is so true. It's like neighbors against neighbors is what, you know, Trump versus the Biden people, and friends that were once friends all of a sudden, you know, speak with a heart. Even their hearts they unknowingly deny. How could they not feel for those children separated and all the things that were happening with these? if the children
And
die.
to think about the places in the world that have taken it to the next step, and hopefully, God forbid, it'll happen here, like in the Balkans and the former Yugoslavia, where neighbors actually, or what we experience as Jews in Eastern Europe and in Western and Central Europe, where neighbors actually, because of the rhetoric, because of the propaganda, began to believe enough that they would move to violence, which is what we'll be observing this Friday night in Kristallnacht, which is exactly what happened. 5 years the Nazis were in power before they were able to actually move from language of hate to physical violence. It takes some time, but that is that's the direction that things go.
So, Rabbi,
Today is Thursday, right? Today is Thursday.
Yes, today is
So-
Thursday, your
so
last
because-
day.
So my last day for these next 2 weeks. So what I want to do is finish up our looking at Psalm 12 together. And then for the next 2 weeks, you're going to be doing the big read. And what I'd love for people to be really doing is taking these, is really to work on writing your own Psalm 12. And I urge people who have not done this yet to try. And again, don't sit down to try and say, I'm going to write a great poem. I'm going to write, don't worry about that. Try and write something that you are, in your words, you're saying what this psalm means to you. And you have, Harold has sent out all these different translations, so you have them with you. And if you want to get a chavruta, a partner in the class, and read them through again together, feel free to do that. And then when I come back on November 30th, Harold, maybe what we'll do then is start with the personal Psalm 12s. Does that make sense?
And we have a treat. By then I should be done with the video I made with Dean Dresser of her Psalm 12 offering.
Fabulous.
And how she created it. Betsy Immershine, would you be able to read this poem?
Sure, thank you. Help me, God, I've lost my faith in man. Smooth talkers, spouting lies, double speak. Bloated by false pride, convinced they're their own masters, convinced they're ours. Master of the universe, by your word, creator of the universe, speak for the wearied, the speechless, the humbled, the muted by life. Your works are your words, visible in sterling purity to those not blinded by their own hot air engulfed in fog. Wow.
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 So some responses to that?
Betsy, you had your hand up for something else. Did you want to talk first?
Sure. So it's interesting. I'll go to here, Master of the Universe, by your word, creator of the universe, speak for the weary, the speechless, the humbled. There was, in the latter part of Fisher's, there was a point of, I don't remember the exact words now, but you will be there for the poor and the, it was towards the end. I'm working on chaplaincy right now at Bellevue Hospital, and I've been very struck. This one speaks so much to my experience of just the incredible indigent, poor, homeless, and the absolute love from the staff for these. And so when we think about, to me, it's like God incarnated every day watching. I was just there overnight, and I'm just so moved. And I feel like I want to lift out that positive piece of how we bring this in the world. We're living in such ugly negative where words are so hurtful. And I'm also seeing this other side, and I just want to acknowledge, it's not that it's beautiful, but it is in its own way of how people really work to save other people with such love.
Beautiful. That's a beautiful perspective, Betsy. And I love the way this psalm also focuses on the world was created with language. So
Right.
that's a very powerful image. Thank you.
Ben Shafran.
Actually, I wanted to comment about the previous translation, but I'm struck by the brevity and beauty of this translation, how it captures the absolute essence of the song.
Yes, I agree.
It's stunning.
Yeah. And she really turns it into a psalm where she's asking for God's help in her. She's lost faith in humanity. She still has faith in God somehow, but she's lost her faith in humanity. I think it's a very interesting perspective.
Darina.
That word double speak, I don't know who and when came up with it, but it reminded me of Orwell's 1984, although it isn't directly from there. There are other similar words there.
Uh-huh. Thank you, Darina. Yes.
Yeah. Ira?
1984. Remember when we read 1984 and it was the future and we couldn't have imagined getting to 1984?
Ira?
Yes, I really like how she got the silver piece of it by the play on words of sterling purity. I thought that was a brilliant turn of phrase there.
Yes, I agree.
Sterling can have several meanings, and we talk about sterling silver. So I thought that was really very, very clever of her.
Yes, I agree. I completely agree.
Linda?
Yes. First of all, I was going to say what the rabbi had said before, Rabbi, when you said how she lost faith in humanity. I found this to be very, very personal. It struck me as the most personal of all of them, as the narrator is really speaking directly to God and begging for help because of that loss. I mean, it's something I've been feeling myself, especially this week. I've kind of lost my faith in humanity also this week, and this is helping me because I'm trying to get that back. I'm especially concerned about the people who are very close to me, very, very close to me, who I can't relate to anymore. And it's just, I don't know how to get back to them. I've started to say Shabbat Shalom every Friday night to them, but there's this ache in my heart for the loss I feel of these people who are like family to me.
Yeah, yep, it's very painful. I think both Fisher and Bernstein get that personal thing from the opening of the psalm. If you ignore the superscription, the phrase Hoshea Yud He Vav He, Hoshea, save me. It's a very personal beseeching. So I think they both. Fisher starts his translation as I call out to you. And Bernstein starts hers by help me, God. So both of them are from that Hoshea word. It's very direct. It's me to God. Help me, God. Please help me. I need it. Hoshea, save me. So it's a very personal. Thank you, Bonnie. Thank you, Linda. Bonnie is written there. So I just.
Yeah, I'm on her computer because I couldn't get on mine.
That's okay. But I know you're Linda.
Sarah, for the last comment of the day. Sarah Sloan? Sarah, I know you're there. You had your hand up. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I am very struck by the section that begins Master of the Universe, but in your word, Creator, speak for the weary, the speechless, the humbled, the muted by life. That seems to me to be very much what we need today. And what we all need. We're all wearied, humbled, feeling muted by life after eight months of COVID.
Yeah.
And asking for the Master of the Universe to speak to us very much speaks to me.
Beautiful. Me too, Sarah. I share that with you. Me too. Thank you. That's
all right. So that is, if I'm correct now, Rabbi, the end of our study of Psalm 12. Right. Everybody will work on their personal things. you are still in LA. You're going to be leading us in services tomorrow night?
I will be leading every Friday night, even while I'm not doing Psalms class next week, but I'll be leading tomorrow night from LA, but Joyce and Sam will be in the sanctuary. We're going to start practicing. We're going to see if we can do once a month in the sanctuary. So tomorrow night will be our attempt to do it and see how it goes. And then December, our Shabbat Hanukkah service will be in the sanctuary, and I'll be in the sanctuary with them. That's December 11th. Also, for members, we have our next town hall Monday night. The information is going to go out, and it's going to be in conversation with me and with Nate Goldstein about COVID updates and medical updates in where we are. So I think it's going to be a very interesting discussion. And as always, we'll send out something on Friday for everybody to register. And then on Monday, you'll get the Zoom information to participate for Monday night. But tomorrow night's service is going to be an observance of Kristallnacht, which is always a deeply moving service. And we'll be doing music from the Austrian and German synagogue tradition mostly. And very much looking forward. And Shabbat morning is Yolanda Podosinsky's daughter's bat mitzvah.
Yes. And next week we start the big read. We will be running until 10:55. We will not have play-in and play-out music. I am pleased to say that we have only one slot left for Monday, a few for Tuesday. People are signing up. We're hearing a lot of different voices. A lot of people have been able to sign up on themselves. If not, just email and I will get you signed. We have something very special in show and tell now. Ira has something to show us. Ira, what do you have? If we could pin Ira on our, that is the second volume of Menachem Creditor's collection, a hard copy with the CBST Psalms. Do you think you could just page through and find your Psalm and we could confell and you could see your...
Ira, can you speak so you show up on the as
yes,
a speaker?
talk, Ira.
Oh, yeah, sure. I'm sorry. I have to find it. I don't know exactly where it is.
All right, well, it's there. It looks nice, right?
It is definitely here. And the one thing that surprised me about this book is that it's actually much more essays than it is poetry. So I thought it was going to be all poems, but it's
all
not.
different kinds of writings.
It's all different kinds of writings, and a lot of them are reprints from of articles that appeared in some Israeli newspapers and other publications. But it's a nicely compiled book, and I'm really glad I bought it.
And volume 1 has Rabbi Cohen's prayer for healers. The volume 1 of this has also other things that are beautiful as well. It's a very nice thing they're doing. They're trying to collect Jewish writings in response to COVID. And it's a beautiful idea. Yeah, if you look in the, there's a whole section for the CBST Psalms.
Yes, I'm going to show you that.
Yeah, so look, we have a whole section.
With Rabbi Kleinbaum, your introduction, which is really lovely.
Which kind of explains what our class is.
Yes.
And Ira, the copy chief and you has been able to read it without a red pencil?
No, Harold, I have not. Sorry to say.
Because I'm sure it's digital and it's print on demand. If you had some comments and things that need to be done, I'm happy to put you in touch with the editors. All right. So so it is time. It is our time to say Shabbat Shalom, and I'm going to play us out with something different than I played us in with. I am going to post what I played us in with. What I'm going to play us out with is the harp, which is the connection to David and the Psalms. My friend Parker Ramsey is an incredibly talented musician. He's a harpsichordist and a harpist and the head of music at St. Stephen's Church over on the west side. And he did a version of Bach's Goldberg variations on the harp in the chapel of King's College, Cambridge, where he studied. He was the organ scholar there. So we're going to play out with that.
And Harold, before you do, I promised that I would look up the Vayomer Vayidaber situation. And
yes.
I realized I have a book that has a very important essay, but that book is at home. So I couldn't do it from Los Angeles. I forgot where I was, but I promise I will get back to everybody on that after I get back to New York.
All right. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
And here we go. I will also post this. There's a whole album. It is beautiful. It is actually his he did the transcription. He is unbelievably talented.
Wow, that is gorgeous.
Isn't that gorgeous? So with
Jewish
that,
Bach, we're Jewish. We need a Jewish Bach.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Great to see you. See you at services tomorrow night. Love to everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
Bye.
Shabbat Shalom,
Randy,
everybody.
come over and say hello. Randy, I'm going to get Randy to come say hello. Say hello, Randy.
Hello, Randy.
Randy,
Hi, Randy.
Secretary of Education.
Congratulations, Randy.
There's no congratulations. The New York Times article is not truth. It's a New York Times article.
Well,
Yeah.
congratulate
People
We're all rooting for Randy.
Have we not learned
Randy.
anything yet that what you read in the newspaper you have to take with a grain of salt, people?
I can dream.
Yeah. Okay, that you can dream,
All
but
right.
it's okay. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye. Bye.
Rabbi, if you can, I would love to speak with you.
Oh, I can't leave. Can I say hello? Uh-oh. Turn this off.
Bye.
Oh, okay. Well, have a good day, everyone.
Have a good day. Have a good day.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
My buttons aren't working.